I'm joined by Yabagi Sani, former chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, and also our analyst, Professor of Communication at Bayes University, Professor Adeniyi. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, let's start from Bayelsa. Mr. Yabagi Sani, crisis everywhere. What are your thoughts on what's happening or it's unfolding, it's new in Bayelsa State?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's strange because politics is about management of crisis. So it's not beyond the managers of the political parties, the two parties today and all the other parties. It's context for power, and the power is the most precious thing, that you can think of. So the stakes are very high, and people want to use everything at their disposal to ensure that they keep their relevance within the context, of power. So, what is happening between the former minister, the former governor, and the present minister in Bayelsa State? It tells you the kind of politics we play in this country. Everything now is about who can offer more, who can deliver, the goodies. About the politics that cause the shots. So I'm sure no matter how you look at it and no matter what you say, people will still drift more to the current minister because he's in a position to satisfy their needs. And when time that things are very hard,
right.
People will not just overlook such offers that will come from them.
Professor Adeniyi, let's look at that situation. It's happened before, it continues to happen. A minister at the federal level, and then you have the locals. There's always that clash. How does that distort our political system and, kind of foments a lot of trouble for us?
Yeah, most certainly. I think I agree largely with what Alhaji said. It's just unfortunate that most of the time when the political gladiators are angling for positions, for influence, they often forget the bigger picture. They find it very difficult to sacrifice personal interests, their egos, their prides, their prestige, and the kind of influence that they purported the world, for the bigger picture. Because ordinarily, at the national level, for instance, you'll have imagined that, all those fighting, involving busting up will be much more concerned about consolidating their party so that they can become a formidable opposition, strengthen their party further in the build-up to every election, whether at the national or the state level. But rather, they're just busy with these hair-splitting and unnecessary or maybe avoidable disputation. And even at the local level, Bayelsa, for instance, you wonder if you are suspending two influential members who are holding national office, then who else will be left in your party? If people like that who have the opportunity of muzzling, making things happen because of the influence they could presently wield, you are now hitting at them because there's an interest you want to serve. You would have expected that they would rather be concerned about coming together to rescue power from the government of the day, or maybe sometimes in the future, or at least become a strong opposition. If you remember what happened when the APC was out of power, the kind of opposition role they played. Of course, when they came into power, it was a different ball game. But at least as an opposition party, they were, their performance was top notch. And of course, it was because of the kind of hitting that they gave the PDP. They peppered them to no end. That made Nigeria believe that maybe we should give the people a chance. And of course, they were able to wrestle power. But since that time, we haven't been able to see a formidable opposition political party. What we've been seeing are individuals becoming opposition, rather than political party, coming up as opposition entities. So I think we need some reimagining to do, really, some reorientation, maybe self-introspection.
Yes.
At the level of these party members. So that if we want to deepen our democracy, like we keep talking about. So
talking about self-introspection, reimagining, you are one of the members of the Interparty Advisory Council. In fact, you were the chairman at some point. One of the stated goals is promoting dialogue, dealing with political parties. That is very important. How is that going?
Well, I think it's going on very well, but not as one would have wished.
So problematic then, like the political parties?
No. The issue is that, you see, look at the history where we are coming from. We are coming from the aftermath of the military experience. We had military, administration, for 30 years before we now got the civilians who came in 1999, and then 25 years down the line now we have democracy. So I think we've done, very well. But still, the military mentality in our politics is still entrenched. We have not been able to uproot it. And the reasons are that, like Prof says, people now tend to drift more towards, somebody who can, satisfy their immediate need. Politics again, especially in our own, when he says, rediscovering or something like that, is a matter of ideology. It we don't have any underpin, in terms of ideological leaning of the political parties. It's like he says, individuals that are now represent, what the parties stand for. So individuals, of course, that is not something that can take you anywhere because of the nature of what that is. So as we go along, I believe deepening the roots of democracy will mean a way by which we will play down on the role of money. Unfortunately, we do not have strong institutions that can achieve that for us, because to achieve that, you need strong institutions. INEC is weak, all the judiciary is weak, the police is weak. So who is going to now nurture this democracy, that we took over from the military to become the ideal, system of governance that everybody will now, feel attracted to and will respond to your needs. So this is the thing. That's what Prof has said.
So who will nurture? That's a big question.
Yes.
Strong
institutions.
Yes, Prof. What do you see is the role of organizations such as IPAC, in building this political system? Because the work has to be done.
Yeah, I think organizations like IPAC, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, and maybe the conscious members of the populace, they have critical role to play in this matrix, especially when it does appear as if the politicians or sections of the politicians and the political parties are failing, because we have said it many times that the solution to problematic democracy is more democracy. And we have also said it several times, it bears also repeating, that it's not a destination, it's a journey. We just keep working at it, invest more faith, be much more committed. Let's have committed leaders, who are interested in adding value, leaving legacy, and who will lead through appropriate, decent, symbolic actions. Not people with a different kind of action, but again, they'll be telling the citizens to do something different, to make sacrifices, whereas we're not seeing sacrifice on their part. But it's also the institutional aspect that they also mentioned is very critical. Individuals are just marginal if you look at it within the bigger matrix. Institutions grow systems and societies, but we also know that individuals are important in the strengthening of institutions, which is why there's a dialectical interconnection between them. A kind of, they rub at themselves,
yes.
And through this process we have a proper synthesis, progress, But when we have individuals that are hardly committed, then of course the institution will also continue to fail. And that's what we're seeing across the political parties, not just in the PDP, but also in the APC, and to some extent the Labour Party, where we have a strong individual trying to bring about some change, but we're seeing resistance, directly or indirectly, against his efforts, as the case could be.
Mr. Sani, are you surprised at the spectacular failure of the APC? I mean, 2015, everybody was like, this is it. It's going to happen. We have to vote this party. Are you shocked at what you're seeing? Because you are neck deep in politics, so you come in contact with all sorts of people. How are you reading the situation?
Well, I'm not shocked, but you have to understand the fact that we have not had democracy, really. as it's supposed to be.
So what have we had?
Transition. We've been transiting from the military mentality of running government to democratic, system of running government. The president we had, all his life, the only thing he knows is about obey the last order.
You mean the former President Muhammad Buhari?
And also Obasanjo.
Yes.
Those occupied about 16 years of the democratic system that we are supposed to have. And these are people that you can't fault them. The only thing they know, they don't have that, patience, to allow things to move in the direction that you are saying that, how has it developed? But now we have Bola, Ahmed Tinubu, the president. We had, we also had Goodluck Jonathan. We had Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
Yes.
But again, the question you ask yourself is, how much were these people really allowed the space, to really give us that democratic dividends that, Nigerians are looking for? And perhaps that's why Nigerians have, unfortunately, losing interest in democracy, because if you look at the participation, how many people really participated in the last election? Less than 30%, I think. Only about 8.8 million, votes was what made Bola Ahmed Tinubu the president in a country of over 200 and something million people. So the issue is that we, the politicians, must step up to the plate to ensure that we give Nigerians confidence. We make them believe more in politics. Like Prof says, there should be more politics, isn't it? So that more democracy, so that Nigerians will believe in this system that has worked, perfectly for most, countries. So I believe we will have our work cut out for us, as politicians. And like he says, if you get people in the position of influence that are not committed, then what you get is more retrogression in the progress of democracy entrenchment itself. So I believe all the crises we're having, as far as I know, it's not something to really be worried too much about, because democracy has that capacity to accommodate, what is happening in PDP today, what is happening in APC.
Okay.
It can be accommodated.
Okay, so I'm hearing that there's a breaking news.
Okay.
The Super Eagles players have arrived at Abuja from Libya. It comes after an allegation by the Nigeria Football Federation that the Libyan authorities held hostage the Super Eagles players and officials at the airport. So we're seeing live pictures there of the Super Eagles that have arrived in Nigeria. They were there for many hours trying to get into the country for the competition, but they were unable to do that. And there was a decision made that it was better for them to return to Nigeria after consultations with the Libyan government, and efforts were being made to get them into the country. A tragic story earlier with the Super Eagles.
Land in an airport without
Right.
landing,
Okay, do we have some audio to that?
It took the professionalism of the pilot to land safely, and then wait a stand of about 20 hours. I mean, it's important to be here. I do this on behalf of the president of our country, who has also issued a statement about this fact. The entire country is aware of what you've gone through. The entire country has been awake since last night, urging and praying that you come back safely to the country and to the government of this country. I mean, what was important was your safe return. Nothing else mattered to the president and to the people of Nigeria. I mean, we've had discussions with the various levels of leadership of CAF, in terms of what has happened and what took place. But the bottom line is that let me thank all of you for the great show of maturity. In spite of what took place, in spite of the provocation, we've seen all the pictures, the kind of manner that you were treated, and how you had to try to see whether you could even find some rest in the airport, how you were stopped from even leaving the airport. And in spite of all of that, you remain calm, you remain mature. I mean, that is the spirit that is typically Nigerian. And I need to, thank you and thank everybody and welcome you back home. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Okay, we'll continue with our discussion here. I still have with me Professor Adeniyi and Mr. Yabagi Sani. You've just listened to that short report.
Very unacceptable treatment,
yes,
meted out to the Super Eagles, and of course they took the right action. But like you said, we have to be thankful to Providence that they returned safely, because at the time we were bothered about their safety, considering what they went through within those 12, 15 hours at the airport. Imagine people of that caliber, senior Eagles, senior sportsmen being left at the airport overnight, without food, without telephone, Wi-Fi, nothing, incommunicado. It's shameful coming from a fellow African country. I think nothing else but appropriate sanctions should be meted out to LFF, Libyan Football Federation.
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've run out of time. But thank you so much, Professor Adeniyi and Mr. Yabagi Sani, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.